Everybody, this is the time to put pressure on the government because of the wrong.
One allegation against his son and his son's life is over.
When a legal team reaches for tactics like this, it usually means the normal ones already failed. Andrew Tate's lawyer has spent the past stretch publicly pressuring US authorities and senior political figures to get both brothers released. And somewhere along the way, the language stopped resembling legal argument entirely. Courtroom filings turned into social media campaigns, and those campaigns turned into something a lot closer to open pressure on specific individuals by name. The latest example is the clearest signal yet of how far they're now willing to push this.
If things don't work out with bail or with extradition, the boys can't be extradited without the Secretary of State signing off on that. The Secretary of State is, of course, Marco Rubio. Look, Marco Rubio has a son who plays football in college in Florida right now. One allegation against his son and his son's life is over.
Give it the most generous reading available, and maybe the goal was making the stakes feel human, framing it as something that could land on anybody's son. It doesn't come across that way, guys. He named the Secretary of State specifically, the man who holds final authority over whether this extradition goes ahead at all, then pulled that man's son into it, noting that he knew the kid plays football. Why would you drag somebody's child into a legal argument unprompted? It reads like a deliberate attempt to rattle him, which tells you they're prepared to try practically anything right now. Gadget, consistently critical of Tate through all of this, addressed it head-on in a post aimed at Trump, pointing out that the lawyer is effectively arguing Tate was a real factor in the election win, then warning about the consequences if that support doesn't get returned. The pitch is that Tate genuinely moved Republican turnout, and walking away now costs them the next cycle. There's even a claim circulating that AOC becomes the frontrunner the moment the manosphere stops backing the party. Boiled down, publicly betray a supporter and watch nobody support you again. What's impossible to argue with this time is how badly the support has drained. Maybe that's the crypto stuff, maybe general exhaustion, maybe people just wanting a courtroom to sort out what happened. Either way, the base isn't what it once was. The lawyer himself is one of the odder figures here, clearly paid well but emotionally invested well beyond professional obligation. He's fully adopted their worldview, Matrix talk included, seemingly convinced he's up against something far bigger than a criminal case.
The whole internet has seen the video that I made. It's going viral across the whole internet right now. How did that come about? Not from me. That came about from the Lord. The same way I am now standing here with Andrew Tate's lawyer. I want to ask you, brother, are you guys fighting the most evil and most powerful people in the world right now?
There is no question about it. This is a fight. This is the eternal fight of good versus evil. This is the oldest fight in the book, the oldest fight in all of creative history. It is the synagogue of Satan. It is the church of evil. It is the secular, humanistic, anti-God church that tells you that a man can't be a man, a woman can't be a woman, people shouldn't get married, and you should sacrifice your babies to God knows what.
Yeah.
This is evil. Hardcore, bona fide evil that we're fighting against, and Andrew and Tristan Tate are two generals in that war.
Yes, and you have here a Christian and a Muslim standing together in unity, just like the brothers. Stop the division, the people. Now you have to take action. This is the time. When you see right or wrong, you have to be on the side of right. Everybody, this is the time to put pressure on the government because of the wrong.
Public pressure on government has been the central play from the start, and Tate himself has been running it through his team's posts since the day the cell door shut. One of his recurring lines is that 100 Labour councillors campaigned for the Democrats, while branding Trump a rapist and demanding he be jailed, and now those exact same councillors are calling him a rapist while he sits in a cell. But here's the genuine obstacle facing anyone thinking about backing him. Elon, Trump, anybody with actual power, publicly associating with Tate right now carries massive risk, and the reason is Epstein. The accusation being thrown at him is that he's essentially a budget version of that, trafficking and rape allegations combined with charges involving images of children. If a high-profile figure backs him publicly and a UK conviction lands afterward, that choice sticks to them permanently. Tate's own lawyer has said outright that every time those two names appear together, it puts the brothers in greater danger.
And these people have not only tried to convince me to, they fucking spoke to me. They've sat me down and said, look, there's limits. They also spoke to fucking Trump. They tried to put a bullet in his head. He's now the president of the United States. Why is there no investigation into why CNN played Butler, Pennsylvania, his only ever rally they played live on CNN? Why? The one where they try and blow his brains out on camera. Why is Fauci not in jail? Why is Hillary not in jail? Why is Obama not in jail? No one's going to fucking jail for anything. Mr. Trump, you can do your tariffs and you can kick out a few migrants, but there's limits to what you can and can't do. If you want your children to live and you want to keep your towers, you just...
He's also said plainly that conditions get considerably worse the moment they touch down in the UK, and that whatever they're dealing with now is the easier version of what's coming. Both men are already struggling badly with what they're facing in America, and that's before any of this reaches British soil.
Every time somebody compares them to Epstein, what they're doing is they're saying these guys are so bad that they deserve to be put in an orange jumpsuit and hung in their prison cells. We would never extradite somebody to North Korea knowing that they were going to be executed, and we shouldn't extradite Andrew and Tristan Tate to the United Kingdom knowing that they'll be executed as well, because make no mistake about it, they want to lock them up in some horrible prison and make sure that they get murdered. That is fundamentally evil and wrong.
That's disgusting.
As of recording this, Tate has been inside for 16 days and clearly isn't coping well with it. His most recent statement went straight at the British government, claiming the state is trying to publicly destroy an innocent man and wants to burn him at the stake as a symbol of protecting women and vulnerable people. He argued they want the public forgetting Philip Schofield and Hugh Edwards, forgetting his claim that 250,000 young girls were abused by grooming gangs with police cooperation, and ignoring who arrives by boat every single day. His position is that destroying him lets the state look tough on crime while the real crimes go unaddressed, and that trust in the British state is already gone.
So why do I get to travel the world so freely? Why have I been to 25 countries this year? Because when I land in Hong Kong and the British government call the authorities and say, we need Andrew Tate, we have a warrant, the authorities say, well, what's the warrant for? And who's it against? And the British state says, we don't want to tell you who the victims are. The victims don't exist, so no country will extradite me. So I'm traveling the world completely free. No country respects England anymore. Nobody's sending me to them. I'm living as a free man. They keep putting on the BBC that they want to get hold of me. And I'm saying, tell me who my accuser is and I'll come talk to you. And they're like, no, because they've completely made it up.
Realistically though, guys, this decision has already been made. However much pressure gets thrown at US authorities, whatever arguments get made about bail or pushing the hearing date further back, both brothers are ending up in the UK. The timing is the only thing genuinely still in play here. And there's a real irony sitting underneath all of it, because based on how their own lawyer described their current situation in that same interview, UK prisons might actually turn out to be a step up from where they are now.
The American prison system is one of the worst prison systems in the world. It's very, very bad. They're drinking shower water in a 5x7 cell. If that, they don't have they don't have a chair, right? So if Andrew wants to sit down, they have. You've been to a city, whether it's New York, Dallas, Miami. In front of the buildings, they have sort of these black metal blocks that keep people from driving bikes and vehicles in. They have like a concrete stub. You can sit on that if you want. Obviously, who the hell wants to sit on that? Yeah. Andrew 6'3", Tristan 6'5", respectively. And the beds aren't big enough. I'm 6'1". The beds aren't big enough for me. They're certainly not big enough for you. So yeah. Tristan's got to sleep like sitting up half the time.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's horrible. They don't have the ability to turn their lights on and off. There's not proper ventilation. They've been out a total of 3 days since they've been in. So they've been out 3 days, and they've been given 1 hour each day. So that's a total of 3 hours over the course of 11 days. That's inhumane. It's disgusting. It's wrong. In terms of access to commissary, communication with the outside world, they haven't been given it. It's only us. So we're here. I'm right across the street. Walk over to the jail. Both myself and co-counsel over here, we're going to see them twice a day, every day, to check in on them. And we're not going to disappear until the war has been won.
Plenty of people got confused here, guys, because Tate has repeatedly claimed a UK case against him had already been dropped years ago, and he's used that line constantly as proof the whole thing was baseless. The CPS did decline to prosecute back then. That part is accurate. But that decision reportedly came down to messages between the women discussing whether to mention that alcohol had been given to them that night, which is a very different thing from the case collapsing on the evidence. Tate's line throughout has been that they were simply trying to extort him.
In a statement issued via his lawyer in Romania, Tate denied the assault or rape. He said, "They wanted money because I fired them. The police understood after the investigation that I am innocent, and the police found messages from the girls' phones where they were talking between themselves and planning to lie about me." Sally said the CPS sent a letter saying that one of the reasons they didn't charge Tate was because they found voice notes on our phones where we talked about whether we should tell the police that he gave us alcohol. We were talking about it because that is what happened. He used to get us drunk.
Coming back to the support question for a second, during his earlier arrests, there was something that genuinely resembled a movement behind him. Organized protests, coordinated posting, real visible numbers. This time around, it amounted to roughly one guy standing outside the courthouse holding a sign.
They said it was a laughing stock. They said it was a laughing matter. Now here we are in 2026, 12 years later, equidistant from 2002 as to 2014. And here we are, and Donald Trump is the president. Made in America, Tesla. Shout out.
Honestly, a lot of that comes down to Tate himself spending months publicly begging for the extradition to happen, demanding they bring the case forward so everyone could finally see what evidence actually existed. When someone asks for something that loudly and then gets it, sympathy thins out fast, so most people have simply landed on waiting to see what the trial actually produces.
So the extradition process is just sending him to the UK, where he is a citizen. He faces over 40 charges, including 10 accusations or 10 charges, and then they'll be presented in court and he can exonerate himself if he's actually innocent. Why would you be against that?
I mean, I never necessarily said that I was against that.
But you said free him from his current extradition process.
Well, what I mean is free him from where he's being held right now. I'm just saying I'm not against him going to court. Yeah, and even he's not. By the way, he said himself, innocent men don't run. So how about we actually take this to court and stop dragging it on? You notice how
that's what extradition is.
The process is the punishment. They're dragging this for years. Why don't we just go to court? Let's do that. Let's speed it up.
But you're protesting against his extradition, and the whole point is to send him there and he gets his day in court. That's the point. You can't prosecute someone without extraditing them first. And you're protesting the extradition.
I'm just protesting the fact that he's being held with no conviction.
That's just any sort of pretrial detention, but
so let's see what happens in court then, bro.
Once you're actively fighting extradition, bail stops being realistic, especially with the resources Tate can access. There's a yacht mid-construction. He can step onto a plane and be anywhere on Earth. He could settle somewhere that makes any future extradition dramatically harder. Bail was never on the table here. And while UK prisons do use shared cells, his lawyer thinks the brothers may be deliberately split into completely separate facilities on arrival, kept apart from one another entirely.
If there's no bail, unfortunately, what are the chances of getting the bros in the same cell so they can at least be together? Question mark.
We'll see what we can do. I tell you, if they go to England, they'll probably send them to 2 different parts of the country.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going to do it. Yeah. Yeah, they'll do that. Yeah.
The team clearly believes Trump owes them something, guys, but pushing this way, with what reads as thinly veiled threats attached to it, is far likelier to blow up in their faces than actually work. Realistically, they could end up serving extra time in America and then landing in Britain carrying an additional charge on top of everything else. Picking up something brand new before the extradition has even finished would be about the worst possible outcome available to them.
But you're trying to stop him from going to court. You're saying free him. They're trying to send him to court.
Have his day in court, and even he said innocent men don't run. I'm pretty sure he wants to go to court and prove his innocence.
But then why are so many of his allies lobbying against his extradition?
That he shouldn't be able to go through the legal process.
You went outside where he's being held and tweeted free Tate, and he's being held
without trial. That's ridiculous.
Well, he's being held in advance of an extradition hearing where he's contesting. He's saying, I don't want to be extradited to the United Kingdom.
I mean, fair enough, bro. But hey, let the man have his day in court. We don't.
I agree. That's why I want him extradited to the United Kingdom. Let's go.
There's also reporting that UK authorities have Tate on a watch list on par with how they'd classify a terrorist threat. That raises real questions about how this extradition actually gets managed, how much access journalists get to the proceedings, what information reaches the public, and whether large parts of it happen entirely behind closed doors. It'll be genuinely interesting watching how all of it unfolds once he's finally standing on UK soil. That's it for this one. If you got something out of it, drop a like. It helps this channel more than most people realize. And if you're new around here, this is Creator Pulse. So subscribe and share this with someone following the case. Catch you in the next one.